So let's jump into the action here and see how this match shakes out.
Yeah, and so here we're seeing the big difference of these God Pharaoh gift lists. Corey Burkhardt is the only one who has really deviated from it. This is the standard list that we see, and it's just mono black, focusing on some of these zombie synergies, thanks to Crypt Breaker, to be able to draw you enough cards to get to God's Pharaoh's gift and to get a bunch of creatures into your graveyard for Gate of the Afterlife.
Oh, I love this keep here from Matt Nass. A one-lander, but you know what? He's got 2 Thoughtseize in hand, draws a third, has Crypt Breaker and Stitcher Suppliers. So he's really happy to get going like this. Finds a Growth Spiral in hand. Gonna send that away.
Yeah.
Prevent that ramp there from Greg Orange.
The problem with like just a bunch of Thoughtseize, that was such a nice draw, but the bunch of Thoughtseize against this Sultai deck is eventually they just draw cards and every one of their cards draws more cards. So eventually they snowball out of control here.
Oh my goodness. So Matt Nass is just making merry with Greg Orange's hand here, leaving him with only lands, and is now able to deploy his cards however he sees fit until Mr. Orange finds something that can deal with this battlefield that's going to start amounting here.
Absolutely. And yeah, speaking of Mr. Orange here, interesting to see Greg Orange not playing Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. He is another person like Andrew Cuneo that just loves these Azorius control decks.
Castle Locked off the top of the library with Stitcher's Supplier. Got the Ravenous Chupacabra in hand that he can use to fend off any creatures, but you know, there's no creatures for Orange right now, unless he has Nissa that starts making lands come to life.
Yeah, Ravenous Chupacabra is an interesting one to leave in this.
Yeah, for sure. Zagoth Triome, at least we can cycle that for Greg Orange. Find something else. There's a Wilt, so that'll be useful against the pesky artifacts in this list. Hinterland Harbor off the top of the library too.
Yep, absolutely. A little insurance policy against the absolute best card in Matt Nass's deck.
Yeah. Castle Locked able to start digging through the library of Matt Nass, try and push the advantage even more, finds a Rankle Master of Pranks that he can get down, get going straight away if he wants to, but chooses to go for the Lazotep Reaver, can get even more cards out with the Crypt Breaker. Last Zone, though, is going to blow up the Crypt Breaker before it can do that. And now it's a choice. Do we discard a card to make a zombie, or are we just going to let this go?
Yeah, I think you got to just let that go. You don't really want to discard one of these cards. Ravenous Chupacabra is good against Uro eventually when it hits. And I do love Rankle, Master of Pranks. There's only one of them, but a very powerful effect at flying over Uro.
Neutralize now at the top of the library. That can stop that Rankle Master of Pranks. But gonna have to find a little more than that to help him get back in this matchup here against Matt Nass's almost amassed army, let's call it that.
Yes, a mass token. I like what you did there, Alias. I like it. Yeah, and I mean we're seeing Greg, you know, draw out of this decently with that turn 1, turn 2, you know, 3 Thoughtseizes in the course of 2 turns, battling back a little bit, but still these little creatures will get there eventually if Greg Orange is not able to find, you know, his most powerful card, Ur of Titan Wrath, or Nissa to be able to neutralize the actual creatures that are coming at him.
At this point, do you think Matt Nass ever considers just sacrificing his own things? Just be like, you know, I've got 2 Stitcher Suppliers, I want to fill this graveyard up. Or we're just playing it patiently, right?
I think you just play it patiently, because if you take that route, sure, you're going to make your God's Pharaoh's Gift good eventually, but then you're kind of taking away from that priest activation later when they do land an Uro, which, you know, everybody knows these Sultai decks end the game with Uro in play at some point.
You don't go anywhere without your Uro. It's just not right. But, you know, as we say that, Matt Nass goes and does the thing and starts sacrificing those Stitcher Suppliers, filling up that graveyard even more.
Yeah, the one reason I like it at end step here is it allows you to activate Castle Lockthwain as well, so you kind of get to draw 2 cards. So he's just thinking, okay, can I find 2 power worth of creatures in these 2 magic cards to replace the Stitcher Supplier? And he thinks, yes, I can.
Yes, yes, he can. Finds Gates of the Afterlife. Can we get that down and cracked straight away? Not yet. Surely we have enough things in the graveyard now. If we sacrifice the creatures... Oh, wait, okay. So now we can attack with the 2 zombies, sacrifice them, Gates of the Afterlife, sack that, but, you know, we want to do that pre-combat to get 4/4s out, don't we?
Yeah, you would think that. And if you're Matt Nass, you just got to assume he's got to have something by now, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure you still have to go for it, but I'd be interested to maybe bait out a counter spell by playing like a Rankle and getting that damage aspect down first. But yeah, I love Woe Strider here as well. Another card where you're not really committing a resource, at least it doesn't feel like it when you're just escaping it, and force him to deal with all these types of cards that keep coming back. And then when Greg Orange is out of stuff, then you drop the hammer and play Gate to the Afterlife or God's Pharaoh's Gift.
Nice. We're also getting very close to the point where we can just cast God Pharaoh's Gift as is. We don't even need to get Gates of the Afterlife down.
Yeah, no
Search for Cantor. Scrying effectively finds a Languish and flips. So, Search for Cantor, powerful magic card of you. What can you find for Greg Orange?
And the thing that Greg Orange has to be pretty happy about right now, his life total is at a decent position. And if God's Pharaoh's Gift were to land, he has Wilt plus either Commit or a Search for Cantor activation. And that is just a very powerful magic.
Yeah. So a few turns ago was just lands in hand, but now Greg Orange has found ways to deal with this game plan here of Matt Nass. As we see Woe Strider on the stack, it's gonna get noped.
Okay.
Sent back to the second card in the library?
Second from the top, exactly. Kind of like Teferi, just one more card on the top. And that's one way to deal with escape cards. And I mean, that is like one of the very few ways to stop them from just escaping turn after turn after turn.
Whoa!
Oh
and
my!
Straight away draws a bunch of cards, both players discarding their hands and drawing 7. Okay, now we got a game.
Wow, that is unreal. That is such a good play from Gregory Orange. Normally, when you cast Memory, you're like, my opponent gets to act first, so they're going to start dropping some very powerful things. But Matt Nass's most powerful thing is getting God's Pharaoh's Gift into play. And guess what, Alias? We don't have a graveyard to bring anything back anymore, so that is a bit more of a problem.
It is indeed, but we can get 2 creatures down here, at least for Priest of Forgotten Gods, to get some creatures into that bin. Could we still do it this turn? If we get lucky, not with...
Has he played a land?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
No, there we go. There's the land.
Yeah, there we go. That's enough, right? I think we can as well. You have to sack, or maybe we have to get a little lucky with Stitcher Supplier.
Yeah, I think getting a little lucky with Stitcher Supplier is in order. We need some...
Or it's already there. I'm not 100% sure with not being able to see the graveyard here. There's 2 creatures. That's got to be pretty helpful.
Yeah.
And you can draw and discard a creature. Oh, yeah, we're set.
Oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. So now Gates of the Afterlife gets to sacrifice itself, goes and finds God Pharaoh's Gift, and we get a 4/4 out.
Yeah, 4/4. So what can we get? We can get Rankle as a 4/4. That can deal essentially 5 damage.
Yeah.
Because you can make them lose a life. So from my calculations, Greg is at 1, unless... Oh, do we have a Fiend Artisan? I don't think any of these cards are lethal.
Artisan, no.
I don't think any of them are lethal. I think Rankle is close, because 4 damage from Rankle and then draw a card, lose a life, putting him down to 1.
Is that better than just getting a Woe Strider for scrying? Or what are the other options here for him?
I mean, I think it is better to get something like Woe Strider if it's not lethal, because everything hits for 4. Rankle just hits for 5. Yeah. And I mean, that's the only real big difference. So if they're not at 5, it doesn't seem like it's super necessary, but...
Yeah. Oh man, if that zombie token was not summoning sick, we could have had lethal there with the Lazarus Reaver. That would have been sweet.
Exactly. That would have...
But alas, not to happen this turn, as we see... Cards cycled, Shark Typhoons aplenty in hand. We do have Eliminates, but is it too little too late here for Greg Orange, who is on 1 life? He's no stranger to being on 1 life in Magic. Let's just get that out there.
Yeah, Greg won a pro tour at One Life. I'm pretty sure he started the game at One Life the entire tournament. Yeah, the way it looks here, this looks really tough. I mean, we can make a couple 1/1 sharks to block, but I think this second God's Pharaoh's Gift is going to be just enough to create 4 attackers in the face of only 2 waves of interaction.
Censor. We have Censor, we have a 1-mana shark, but we don't even have for Eliminate, so that's going to be it for Greg Orange, who scoops it up against Matt Nass.